Hello, teachers and staff. Today we will be painting this lovely apple and books, and we're going to write some words. Um, Lead with love. Inside your kit, you should have a cup, and you're going to put water in that for washing your brushes. You will have a plate if you need to mix any paint colors together, napkin to dry off your brushes. And very important, you have an apron. Acrylic paint does dry permanent on clothing. You should be able to wash it off of your skin with soap and water. But clothing, it will dry permanent, and you don't want to ruin your clothing. So make sure you use your apron. What's in your kit. And before we begin, we're going to have to open our paint. You want to grab the bottom of the cup and lift off the top carefully so that the paint does not spill or splatter. Those of you who have nails, you might want to be careful. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and place that at the top of my canvas here. And we also have two brushes that we're going to be working with. We have a medium-sized flat brush, and we have a small round brush. I'm mostly going to be using the flat brush, and the round brush I may use for some details and some final outlining. Okay. So we're going to start. I'm going to make it pretty simple. We're going to go from top to bottom, and then we'll do the background. You have a couple of different options for the background, um, possibly for, school colors, or if you have any favorite colors that you want to use that we have in the kit, you can go ahead and do that when we get to it. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to use the flat brush, and I'm going to put it into the water. And the first thing we're going to start with is the apple. So we're going to be using the red. And I just go around the outline that's already printed on your canvas. And notice that the canvas is printed, the apple right on top of the book. The one modification I'm going to make is I'm going to kind of round that to be more of a realistic apple. There we go. So you're kind of making a W. So you're going down, up, and around. And that way we don't have the apple growing out of the book. The more water you use, the easier the paint is to spread, and you get more coverage. The less water you use, the paint is a little bit thicker and a little bit brighter. But for the purposes of this video, I will be using water to thin the paint out so that we can spread it a little bit quicker. But you will probably have to go over it um, at least 2 times, maybe 3 if you want to get the same consistency over the entire painting. So once you have the entire apple filled in, you can rinse off your brush. And I'm just going to go into the green, and we're going to do that leaf. So the first of the four books, the first color I'm going to use is green. So I'm using the flat brush and I'm pretty much starting on the left side here. Actually, I'm going to start over here. And we're just following the natural lines that are there on the book. It's fine if you go outside of the lines because we're going to outline it in black in the end. So you can go over it 2 or 3 times, kind of make sure you get all the color off of the brush. And you can rinse off your brush. The second color I want to use for this book is white. So I'm going to use the white paint and kind of go along again the natural line that's there for that book. The canvas is already white, so you don't want to confuse yourself. What I'm going to do is once I get the white completely filled in on this book, you'll see some of the green is actually in the paint, and that's good because we want a little bit of a different shade of white so that it stands out a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse off my brush. I'm going to go into the black, and then I'm going to put the black into the water to kind of dilute it a little bit. And then I'm going to go over the white so that we have a little bit of a whitish gray. So it's not a flat white book, so we can actually see the shape of the cover. And it is fine if you mix in the green with that because, like I said, we're going to outline it in black and separate the books at the end. Okay, there we go. The next book, I'm going to use yellow, so make sure you rinse off your brush and go into the yellow. And just follow that same line. And don't worry if you're not going as fast as me or if your brush strokes aren't as straight or as clean. As long as you can follow the technique, you can slow it down or pause and make sure that you're following along. So again, don't worry about mixing the colors. We're going to outline and separate them with that thin round brush. We just want to make sure we have the illusion that these books are actually stacked on top of each other. I'm going to rinse off my brush. And the final book, I'm going to make that one red. All you really have to do is follow the natural lines that are printed on your page here, on your canvas. and you will have the natural outline of the book. The fun part, where you get to be a little bit more creative, will be on this background. And you can choose, different types of styles, different techniques that you want to use for that. Now, we're going to write words on I guess, with the pages of these books. What I'd like to do is use the white paint to kind of give us a foundation so they're not doing just on the canvas when we start writing. And I'm just going to start at the top and paint white where the white space of the canvas is. And then we're going to, when that dries, we're going to actually paint in. We're going to simulate the pages, the individual pages. And then we'll write the words over top of that. So make sure you have, and it's fine if you have a little bit of the water if it's dirty. If that shows up in the white paint, that just means it gives it a little bit more texture. And it looks like these books have actually been read before. So just make sure you go through the entire length. It's fine if you go over these lines here at the end because that's kind of like where we set the pages. And you can paint over them because once we do the individual pages, they'll probably go extend past that point, this point here anyway. All right. You're going to need a little bit more white paint because the surface of this book is a little bit more space. We're going to make sure we use some water and white paint to kind of spread that out. All right, so we're going to go in and cover that entire inside of the book with the white paint and the water. Like I said, I want these books to look like they've been read, so I just came up with a pretty cool idea that I'm going to give them a little bit more character, so to speak. So since we already put the white on here and it's still a little bit wet, we're going to try something cool. Give these paintings a little bit of character here. All right, so for each book, we're going to do a little bit of a lighter shade for those pages, contrasting color. So for the green, let's say we're going to use a little bit of the yellow. So get a little bit of the yellow, then go into the water. We don't want to use the bright yellow. We kind of want to water it down a little bit so you can use your plate to kind of water that yellow down. We just want a faint hint of it. And then I'm going to start here at the spine, the top, and kind of make a C. And then just carry that all the way through. I'm not sure how you can see it on the camera on your end, but you have a very faint yellow tone there, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a cool effect. There we go. It's a little bit brighter. You can use a little bit more of the yellow to make it a little bit brighter. That looks really good. All right. For the whitish gray book, I think we're going to keep that in that same color scale. We're going to use a little bit of the black, water it down. Same technique. We're going to start here, the top, and kind of just follow that natural shape around. And there we have a little bit of a different shade for the pages. Give these books some age on them. They've been used. Let's see here. For the yellow, what should we use? The yellow. We did yellow and green, so let's do red. Go into the red, go into the water, go to your plate, loosen the yellow up a little bit, the red. We don't want it to be bright. We don't want it to be the actual color from the cup. We want it to be a little bit watered down. So we have, I guess that would be almost a pinkish color. That's actually way darker than I wanted it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some water and just use what I've used already here and just use that. And then we're going to pull that out. See how it lightens up as we go further? And just go all the way across. I'm going to lighten that up a little bit. There really are no mistakes because we have black paint and white paint, and we can always go over things and highlight things and outline things to give them a little bit more definition. So we can hide our so-called mistakes if we need to. All right. So for the red book, what color should we use out of what we have here? We've already used the yellow, the gray, the pink. All right, so that looks like we're going to go into the green. Green paint into the cup of water, onto your plate, dilute it a little bit. Don't want it to be super bright green, just a hint. So then we'll go at the top. We'll just bring it around and all the way down. There we go. Back and forth, left to right. All we're doing is blending that green into the white that we already have there. It should be a little bit wet still from the white. And if you take your time and just, focus on it a little bit, you'll notice that you have a little bit of a shading going on from green to light green. All of those shadings and little different things that happen are all going to